Hello, welcome or welcome back to another video talking about Empire Hots and Knots. This video is going to be about events 2 and 3 of 2026. I usually keep them quite close together, or do one video because they are quite close together, sorry. So yeah, we're just going to talk a lot about the hots and knots of my kit, the camping experience, and probably most importantly, my hots and knots for the game experience. So whether you are new to Empire or whether you're returning and you just like listening to some Empire content on in the background to get you hyped up for the next and last event of Empire 2026, then yeah, go grab yourself a nice drink, settle down, because these videos usually last a little while because I do tend to waffle. But if you're new here, hello, my name is Rhianne. On the field, my character's name is Celine, Moon's Chosen. And yeah, Empire being one of the biggest LARPs in the UK, or the biggest LARP, I think, in the UK. I always double check that, and I believe it's always the case, but I always second doubt myself. So yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit today about we've got lots of different bits and pieces to go through actually. Lots of hots, not many knots, which is always a good thing. Do have, a couple of bits here and there, but, I like to try and keep these videos, nice and fun, and, any knots I hope come across as, self-jabs at myself, or criticism, like constructive criticism, rather than, being mean or chatting rubbish. So I always hope that's how it comes across in the videos. But yeah, with all that waffling out of the way, as I said, I do ramble, let's get straight into the kit hots, shall we? Because we've got quite a lot. Okay, the first kit hot we have are some gloves that I made. I saw a tutorial on Instagram Reels, and I will see if I can find the original poster. I have a feeling I might struggle because I did not save the video, which was silly of me. But essentially, it was a cosplayer who used like translucent gloves, like almost like stocking material gloves, and used permanent marker to colour in the fingertips to give the illusion of sort of like black fingertips going off to a gradient to like their skin colour. And so I thought, well, that might be a nice thing to try for my character Celine, because she's a swamp witch from Calavesa. Kind of made the joke during the event that she had swamp finger, just because she's been, dabbling in the bogs, the dark, murky bogs of Calavesa in between events. But I made these for E3, and honestly, they went down a treat. I had some lovely compliments from people, and I'll put a video on the screen of when I first did them, because I was quite chuffed. I mean, I do think the reason why I keep looking down is because I've got them here. So yeah, they're in this like stretchy material from Amazon. I just got these gloves. I can't remember the term I searched now, but I'm sure if you typed in sort of skin colour gloves or stocking gloves or something to that effect, you'll find them. They should come in a variety of skin tones as well. I am paler than the moon itself, so this is actually me with a tan, believe it or not. So these worked out quite well, and they go all the way up to the bicep here as well, which I found quite helpful because I usually wear arm cuffs anyway, so I use the arm cuffs to hold them up and sort of conceal the seam a little bit. But saying that, the seam, because they're so light and thin, it's actually quite difficult to see where the glove ends and begins. So yeah, I think that's quite good. I'll post the link to everything that I talk about anyway on the description of this video. So if you're ever interested about things that I do have the links for, I will post them. So these particular gloves, yes, as I said, off of Amazon. And then I did use the permanent marker method. I have to say, next time round, I would like to do another pair of these without permanent marker, because the problem with permanent marker is that it kind of bled through onto my actual skin. Now, it can wash off your fingertips, and that's fine. I'm talking about when I wore them throughout the weekend, not doing the actual crafting. The actual crafting, I wore latex gloves underneath whilst I did all the pen stuff and the hot glue, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, they do bleed through. Next time round, I'd like to try and find a different method of doing the black fingertips. And then as for the nails, I used just press-on nails, and I hot glued them onto the glove, and then where you have the sort of natural points of the glove tips, I just went in with a quick needle and thread and sort of sewed it a little tighter, so it didn't have that sort of loose bit of fabric between the nail and where the fake skin would be, because it's a little bit wrinkly. It's a little fabric there kind of pinches, so if you just put a couple of threads through that and tighten it, it makes it look more realistic. But honestly, that is just like a very minor final touch, because most people aren't going to be close enough to even see that. That's kind of just for me. I love these. I'll definitely be making another pair. However, what I will say is that I fear these are sort of a one-use kind of garment, because I've got fake blood already on it. That was literally from the Friday. I don't know if that's coming up on camera, but yeah, there's fake blood stains on it. There are holes in sort of the fingertips because, you know, you're camping, you're wearing them for 3 days straight, you're grabbing things. If you're somebody who takes the battlefield as well, I imagine you'll get a lot more wear and tear out of them as well. So just be aware, if you're wanting to make something like this, whilst I recommend them, I love them, and I'll definitely be making another pair using a different method. I have to research, or if anybody else has some suggestions, please comment below on how to make the fingertips black without staining my own fingertips wearing them. Yeah, I would just be aware that perhaps they are a one-time use thing, unless you're wanting to get a thicker material and you can find something thicker that matches your skin tone, that is maybe a little bit more hardy to the wear and tear. But yeah, they're essentially like stockings or tights. But yes, I thought these were really cool, and hopefully as I've been talking, I've been putting up pictures and videos of them so you can get a better look, because they are, after I finish filming this video, they are going in the bin, unfortunately. I might see if I can save the press-on nails, but yeah, they're pretty dead and gone. The second thing for my kit hots, I went on a bit of a Vinted spree. I know, Vinted, if you don't know, have been living under a rock, is a secondhand online store. It's not like a store, like it's a marketplace. So like eBay or Facebook Marketplace, people will sell their goods secondhand. And you know what? There's so many good things for LARP on there as well. Some of it I think is a bit more costumey, but if you're looking for costumey, or if you're looking for accessories, or maybe even like a couple of base layers, you know, if you're just looking for a white shirt or a I don't know, like a corset, like I will show you in a second, that I found. It can be quite good. I think if you're looking for something a bit more specialist, there are better stores to buy from, but Vinted really does have some hidden gems if you're willing to dive into that. So I want to show you a couple of bits that I did pick up from Vinted, and obviously it's great because you're buying secondhand and you are reusing and recycling things that would otherwise be, you know, sent to landfills or charity shops, which I'm always a big fan of. So we'll start with that corset that I mentioned. This I got for I think it was £4. It was so cheap. It is, you know, it's flimsy, it's boned, but like very flexible, which honestly I want and I like, because I don't want to be constrained for 3 days straight in like multiple layers of black garments across summer and spring. So it's flexible enough for me to, you know, sit in and kind of relax and not feel like I can't breathe throughout the day. It's a very nice pattern. Again, I'll try and put pictures of myself from the event up on the screen so you can see exactly kind of what it looks like. It's a nice top layer. I will say it is a little on the flimsier side, but can I complain for like £4? Not really. So lovely find there on Vinted for a little corset moment. Accessories though, there were some fantastic accessories. I got this hairpin situation, which I absolutely adore. It's got a moon sort of, it's not moonstone, it is almost like an opalite kind of stone, and then like a black stone, like an onyx looking stone at the bottom there for the bat. Obviously, me being very night related, the moon is fantastic, and the bat is also evocative of Sodogwa, one of the night eternals. So I thought that was quite a nice little find, just to kind of tie in some of the night magic that my character does. And yeah, it's nice. It kind of sits on top of my head on my new fake bun, which we'll get to, and it just adds a little bit more dimension. It's kind of like, it's nice to add these little bits where when you see, you know, a character in real life, and maybe it doesn't like come up in photographs as obvious as other items of kit does, but when you do see it, it's a nice little, I know it's there, and somebody else might notice it's there. And I actually did have someone comment and ask if, like in character, if I was a like a fan of Sodogwa, or did I do a lot of work with him, to which I did say no, because I haven't actually spoken or sent any sort of missive to Sodogwa in ages, which is, I feel like, is kind of rude to me. I think he's due a little chat soon, you know. But yeah, this was such a nice little find. Again, couple of quid, brilliant little find on Vinted. And the last find, which might actually be my favourite, was a pair of earrings, which I just think are, I don't know if you can see them, stunning. They're just little moons, and they have like a little star, and then they've got these, they are plastic, like purple gems, and then what it looks to be, I think this is actually stone. It might just be glass though, black glass, but again, it kind of looks like onyx, or like a deep amethyst. It has like a deep purple if you hold it in the light long enough, but they're super dangly, and they just add just more texture and more interest around my character, especially because now I'm starting to wear my character's hair up. It's nice to have some detail around the neck area, so it doesn't, I like the cluttered kind of look, like layers upon layers upon layers. So these are great. They do have some imperfections, you know, they've got like air bubbles and stuff on the actual gold bits. You probably see quite a lot actually there. I'm so sorry. I can't see the screen. I'm filming on my phone, so and you're the other way around, so I can't see you. I can't see if this is actually picking up okay. But yeah, there's air bubbles, but again, I do like some imperfections when it comes to LARP, because I am just like a weird little swamp witch, and I'm not perfect. I don't come from like a nice glossy estate. I come from a swamp. So I think it kind of adds to the character. They do need cleaning again, because there's so much black face paint everywhere. It just happens. And whilst this is not a Vinted find, Becca has found so many amazing different necklaces. This is like a proper thick chokery situation, which again, when I have like my black neck paint on, I think it just like pops. It looks really cool. The only downside is when I wear these, they get tangled in it so quickly. The amount of times throughout the weekend where I had to like subtly go, because my earrings are stuck and I can't move my head. Gorgeous. Thank you, Becca. Moving on from Vinted and thrifting, I bought a new thing in E2. I'm so sorry, I can't actually remember which vendor I bought it from at Empire. It was at Empire, it was one of the vendors, and it is this gorgeous little moon crown. Again, you know, with my character being obsessed with the moon, it felt fitting. I don't usually wear this. It's a nice to have when there are different events though. So in the evening, if it's a Saturday or a Friday night and there's some sort of gala or event and I get a chance to freshen up, I might pop this on and just sort of add it to the look, as it were. The only thing is, it's one of those ones where you've got the loops, and that just catches in my hair so easily. So it's a bit of a nightmare to actually take out. I have to kind of pull my hair a little bit to get it out. But I think it's really cute. What was it? I think it was maybe like between 15 or 20 quid or something. So I don't think it's bespoke. I think you might be able to find this online somewhere. But I prefer, if I can, supporting the local businesses that come to Empire. So I'm happy that I could spend my money at places that I know will come back to Empire and supply Empire with lots of different goods, rather than trying to find it really cheap on like an AliExpress or a Shein or something. So now, I mentioned a bun. We got a new hairpiece. I have retired the ponytail for now. She's exceptionally tangled, and I was like, you know what, I want to try having my hair up. So I have this fake bun. It's actually very close to my natural hair colour again, which is quite good. So this is also really helpful for styling my hair. It just means that throughout the weekend I do my braid at the top, I do my twists at the side, and I basically put the rest up, or put it half up, in a bun and keep that secured, and then I just pop this on top, so I don't have to worry about restyling it every single day. When I go to bed, I just pop this off, and then I have a silk like hair bonnet that I just put the rest of my hair in when I go to bed to kind of protect all of the braids and twists throughout the weekend, because I do not redo that throughout the weekend. I do it on a Friday and it stays in until a Sunday evening, and we don't touch it, or else I will never start the game on time otherwise, if I had to do that every single day. This is another Amazon hairpiece. The last one I had was Amazon. Actually quite impressed with it. Some of the hair does fall out a little bit. It's not shedding completely, but I reckon give it a little time. I'll probably have to refresh this and buy a new one. Obviously, when you're camping as well, it's easier for things to get dirty because it's either raining or there's, dust. Good little find. If you want a little bun, I'll link that below as well. Lastly, on the kit hots, I have something really special to show you, and that is my new bag for my skein cards. This is handmade by one of the lovely members from Zolgantash. Essentially, I did a skein reading at E2 for a couple of members of the Zolgantash over in Varushka, and one of them is exceptionally talented at needlework. So I believe this is all hand stitched, which is crazy. And I did some skein readings, and we spoke about her bags and stuff as well. I ended up commissioning her, and she was lovely enough to give me a discount because of the skein reading, and I commissioned this bag from her, and it is just gorgeous. It is velvet on the outside, and it has the moon embroidered, and then it has the constellation of the lock on the back as well, which is incredible. It's got these cute little toggles with the beads, and then it's also lined as well with gold. It's like a silky fabric. I am obsessed with this, so I have to give a shout out. If you find yourself in the vicinity of the Zolgantash in Varushka, and we try not to bring out of character stuff in character, but if you are looking for a bag in character, perhaps you've heard on the wind that there is a very talented member of the Zolgantash that does commissions for lovely bags, and I would highly recommend you go seek out Zolgantash and ask about their wares, especially the bags, because she did a fantastic job, and I'm so grateful. Like, I was stunned when she pulled it out at E3. I was just like, oh, gorgeous, incredible. It's like that Lady Gaga meme where it's like breathtaking, beautiful, gorgeous, incredible, stunning. That is how I feel about this bag. I'm obsessed. We only have one knot for the kit, and that is the fact that my boots are falling apart. The leather, it's fake leather, it's kind of peeling. I fear every time that I wear them now at every event, I'm worried that about halfway through the event they're just gonna either split or break. Now it's getting to that point. So if you recommend anywhere where I can get some black lace-up boots that are flat, I cannot wear heels on the field, then please give me your recommendations below, because I'd really appreciate it. I will try. I'll probably end up getting some for E1 next year. I don't think... it depends. It depends. I might try and wear them give them one last outing at E4, but I'm definitely interested in getting some new ones for E1 next year. Something that's, gonna last a little while. Not like a Doc Martens situation, because they are very thick. I wore my Doc Martens once. Never again. So now we move over to the camping. I have one camping hot, and that is this backpack. This is the Simond hiking bag. I will put all of the model, the specificities of the bag in the description. I believe I also got this from Amazon. I was like in a pinch and I just needed to get something ASAP. I've been wanting a hiking bag for a while because I've been relying on suitcases, and they've been pretty difficult to navigate on to and from the campsite. Even you know, through London, when some of the tube stations don't have lifts or lifts to the platform, and also when you get to the site. And I just feel like the suitcases are okay, but I definitely wanted to find a backpack that was, you know, comfortable. I could fit a lot of stuff in it. I would feel more, it would feel easier to transport a lot of my kit using this as opposed to a suitcase. So I found this, and I say I really recommend it. I think it is actually huge. It is a TARDIS in there. I fit almost everything in this bag, apart from a couple of bits that I still do use my suitcase for, like my sleeping bag, my pillow, blankets if I'm taking blankets, the bag with my cape in, and then a couple of other like lamps and stuff that I take with me I put in the suitcase, whereas all of my kit is in here. Most of my accessories are in here, my toiletry bag, my makeup, everything else fits in this bag. It has so many different compartments. Erin also gave me the peg of vigilance for the bag so that I try my best not to misplace it or lose it. Yeah, game changer getting a hiking bag. Honestly, if you're a public transport person like me, I would choose a hiking bag over a suitcase any day now. I'm fully converted. It's so much easier to travel and pack with a hiking bag than a suitcase. And as always, if you are looking for a tent for camping, I have always recommended Rent Bell Tetns. They are not a sponsor, but they do give me an affiliate code, I think it is. I can't remember if that's particular terminology. I am still new to some of this, so bear with me. It does not give you a discount, but if you have never rented from Rent Bell Tents before and you'd like to try them out, I do recommend them. And if you do end up purchasing your first tent for the first time, you've never purchased from them before, you can email them with my code RhianneMan, and it lets them know that I sent you, and I might get a little bit of a commission from that, just to be completely transparent with you. But I honestly have recommended them prior to that, and I still recommend them at the moment, so you do not have to use my code, but just as if you're looking for a tent, then that is the place I would recommend. Now, moving on to the single knot of the camping experience, and of course it wouldn't be a Hots and Knots without talking about the weather. Of course, it is exceptionally hot in the UK now. It feels like it has been too hot for too long. We are not built for this weather over here. We are built for a summer of around 24 degrees Celsius at its highest. However, for the past few years, we have been experiencing highs of 30 degrees on Celsius on a regular basis. And even this week, we have now got another heat wave where there's going to be temperatures in excess of 30 degrees Celsius. We are not built for that. This country is not built for that at all, in many different ways. And the campsites, unfortunately, are one of those things. The grass, unfortunately, was super dried out and dead, and that generated a lot of dust. So this is nothing that anyone could do anything about. So this is not a criticism. It's just like a very British thing of, by the way, I'm complaining about the weather again because I am British and it is kind of in our blood to do so. The dust was really, really bad on the Sunday especially. I feel so sorry for everybody who struggles with hay fever. One of our friends, Sidey, who plays Silver, struggles immensely with hay fever, and she was feeling it quite a bit at this event. Hello, this is Editing Rhianne here. In fact, I've not even started editing yet. There you are, up there. Unfortunately, the rest of this video is going to be audio only because my phone decided it was out of storage, and I recorded the entire rest of the video, which ended up being, the raw recording ended up being just over an hour long. So there's an extra 30 to 35 minutes of content that did not get filmed. However, I do not have the time this week to do a full re-recording of that 30 minutes. Today was the day to do it, so I am letting you know now. Unfortunately, the next part is going to be audio only. I will try my best to supply photos from the event, from the wonderful photographers who are at the event, and yeah, I'm so sorry. Anyway, on with the video. Sorry about that. I should probably buy a proper camera. By the time I got back on the Sunday, I took a shower, and the amount of brown that came off of me. Bearing in mind, I shower every day when I'm at Empire as well. Full disclosure, I shower every day. The only thing I don't wash is my hair, and I wash that when I get back, as soon as I get back on the Sunday. And coming back and washing my hair and seeing the water run brown, and then not only that, getting a cotton bud and cleaning out my ears and seeing that both of my ears were like, the dirt and the dust turned the cotton bud like muddy brown was a little bit of a shock when you go, oh, you pull that out your ear, oh my gosh. I assume that the next event will still have a degree of dust, even if the temperature's cool, because we have just had such a hot summer here in the UK, and unfortunately we've had very little rain. So just anticipate, if you're heading to E4, that there might be a fair degree of dust, unless we suddenly get torrential rain for the next month. But it doesn't look like that will be the case, unfortunately. I kind of wish we did a little bit, and then it cleared up for E4 next month, and then that would probably be perfect. But yeah, the dust at E3 was pretty immense. At E2, though, we had a kind of different opposite situation, where when we arrived on the Thursday, there actually was quite a lot of rain, and it had turned the campsite into a sludge fest. So unfortunately there were some issues getting some of the tents up, like the rental tents in some of the nations, because you physically couldn't drive your car through some of the parts of the, I was going to say the map, they're not the map, but the campsite. You couldn't actually physically drive because it would get stuck in the mud. We had to help. I say we, I didn't do anything. I'm sorry. It was all my friends. It was all of the rest of my friendship group did help multiple times, people getting stuck in the mud, whether that was helping push cars through some of the worst sections. We even helped someone who was in an electric wheelchair also got their wheels stuck in like multiple times in like trying to navigate just that area. They just kept getting stuck no matter what they tried to do. So yeah, it was pretty bad. I'm not sure how you would remedy that. I'm sure there must be people who are more knowledgeable about terrain and weather. I'm sure you will have a better understanding of that than I do on how to mitigate that in the future, or how to best traverse that sort of terrain if we get it in the future, because we're guaranteed at some point to have torrential rain over an entire weekend, because it's camping in the UK and everything is possible, right? So yeah, we've had some different extremes at E2 and E3, but on the whole, actually, the weather was quite nice. Very hot, but with some weathery things that we're always going to complain about. Now let's talk about the game, because let me tell you, I have stories to tell you. E2 and E3 for Celine, my character, has been some of the most poignant narrative experiences that she's ever found herself in while she's been at Empire. It has been full on. It has been emotionally whiplashing. It has been some of the most satisfying bits of game that I have ever had the pleasure of experiencing. And I want to talk to you about it, but I thought about the best way to talk about it, and I honestly feel like the best way to talk about it is to tell it as a story. And I'm not a professional storyteller in terms of like an oral storyteller. I much prefer writing. I didn't write anything bar a few notes for this, so bear with me. Usually I keep some things vague because I'm worried about in-character information bleeding into out of character and people learning things that maybe they should learn on the field. So before I get into this, first of all, go get yourself a nice snack and a drink and sit down, get comfy. Second of all, disclaimer, everything I'm about to tell you now is in character. And if you do play Empire, I ask of you, please do not bring the following story into your game unless you are already aware of it from the previous events. Because what I don't want to happen is share these wonderful stories that I absolutely adore, and I adore sharing them with my friends and obviously sharing here on this channel, and I just ask of you, please don't let that bleed into things like, if your character doesn't know about it, they don't know about it, even if you know about it. So if this is a story that interests you and you go, wow, I'd love to know more about that in character, just know that you might have heard whispers on the wind of some of these things happening, but your character perhaps doesn't know exactly what's happened, and it gives you a bit of fuel to then perhaps come find people who were there in the game and talk to them about their experience in character. So yes, I really hope that anybody who's listening now will be able to enjoy it without letting it bleed into their character unless they already know what it is. So sorry for that long rambly PSA. But let's talk about the Regio in Anvil. In Anvil, there is a Regio that is aligned to all of the different laws of magic, all the different realms, and that all the magicians of the Empire who travel to Anvil can use to cast their rituals should they need it. And earlier this year, the Regio was broken, and something strange happened. It changed the way the Regio behaved. It changed the way in which covens could act within it, and some people really appreciated the change. They welcomed the change. Others did not, and maybe both of those groups of people were just concerned what has happened to the Regio to make it change. And that's when people learned that the reason why the Regio shifted and changed, and for some people broke the Regio, was because of astronomancy. Astronomancy is the practice of using the constellations in the night sky, in the mortal realm where all of us dwell, as a form of casting. So our magic doesn't come from the stars, but we can use the stars, perhaps commune with the stars. The stars sometimes come to the mortal world in the form of tulpas, these physical manifestations of themselves, and oftentimes recently they've been twisted. The constellation of the Wanderer bouncing back and forth, almost infecting some of the constellations, so that when that tulpa comes down to the earth, they are not what they seem. They go a little awry. So with all of this confusion and all of this uncertainty around the Regio and the astronomancy, the astral astronomancer decided that it was time to get all the astronomancers together and hatch a plan. Yes, you could argue that astronomancers were the one to break the Regio through their rituals, where all the stars witnessed the Regio all at once, and that concentrated power, as it were, seemed to shift the way the Regio worked. So it was up to the astronomancers, really, to figure out the solution to the problem that they inadvertently caused. The astral astronomancer Serenus Starsong has been somebody who has pioneered a lot of the astronomancy across the Empire, especially at Anvil, and they had a plan, and the plan was to find the hidden 19th constellation. At that point, only 18 constellations were known and were visible in the night sky to those in Anvil and across sort of the mortal plane, if you would let me call it that. And we had heard rumours and we had seen things that definitely confirmed there was another. So, in their wisdom, they created 10 nodes, one for each of the nations in the Empire that came to Anvil. And whilst these nodes aren't recognised in imperial law, they are somewhat trusted astronomancers to Serenus Starsong, and it would mean that each node would help oversee each nation and collaborate with each other for each nation's events of the stars and the sky, and any tulpas that came down, or any rituals to do with the stars that would happen. These nodes came together at spring, Selene, Moon's Chosen, being one of them. And one thing, as the astronomancers spoke, both the nodes and other trusted astronomancers across the empire, they knew that there was a tulpa coming to visit in the spring equinox. A tulpa named Pilgrim's Flame that Serenus has dealt with before. This was a tulpa of the Phoenix, the constellation of the Phoenix, and the Wanderer. Astronomancers gathered in the Urizen camp to watch the Pilgrim's Flame arrive and talk to Serenus Starsong. Everybody was on their guard. People brought their physics, their healers, their priests, just to make sure that this tulpa wasn't going to do anything too crazy, although everyone anticipated that the tulpa would have some degree of curse, because the experience of tulpas so far is that they do love to curse people. After a lot of back and forth, Serenus decided to step outside of the safety blanket that people had created for them and speak to the Pilgrim's Flame. The Pilgrim's Flame then issued them a challenge. 3 challenges, to be precise. And if they succeeded those challenges, well, surely something incredible would be learnt. Wisdom is a virtue after all, and so Serenus accepted. Now at this point, Selene had already been invited to do a moon ritual at the Regio, and took their leave, hoping that whatever challenges Serenus was given, they could pass. They'd done it before. They'd seen curses. They'd been on the edge of death. To Selene, Serenus was unkillable, infallible, unbreakable. So, with that knowledge, Selene left to do this moon ritual to hopefully learn more information about the 19th constellation. Selene, along with her friends in Wintermark, the coven of Susavari, cast the ritual and learned about the effects of this 19th ritual. The only thing that they didn't learn was the name, but they had its description, they had the way that it feels, the aspect that it perhaps represented. So, eager to give that information to Serenus and the other nodes, Selene and some other friends wandered back into the Urizeni camp, hoping to catch up with Serenus and understand what the challenges were and what happened after Selene left. As Selene entered the threshold into Urizen, one of the other nodes, the nodes for Urizen, Kayla, spotted Selene and rushed over. She exclaimed, "Selene, have you heard? Have you heard about Serenus?" And Selene, being full of pride, said no, and was just very happy to learn of what happened to her friend Serenus, what happened in her absence, and eager to tell them about what she had just learned. Kayla grabbed Selene's hand and paused for a moment, looking at Selene, and said, "Serenus is dead." Selene was in shock. Serenus was unkillable to her. How had Serenus died at the hands of a tulpa? Something that Serenus had done so many times before, interacted with tulpas for many, many years now. How? And as it turns out, the challenges that the Pilgrim's Flame set Serenus were more dangerous than anyone could ever anticipate. And the pain that Serenus had to endure was too much in the challenge. And the fires that Serenus had to endure from the Pilgrim's Flame turned Serenus into ash, and their soul returned to the labyrinth. In their frenzy, the nodes and other friends of Serenus and other astronomancers of the Empire came together. The node for the Brass Coast, Nassif, had an idea, thinking that perhaps if there are 10 nodes, then we could collectively come together, perhaps summon Serenus from the ash, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. We all held a candle. We all thought that perhaps if we got into that Regio and created a web like the Webb constellation with its 10 stars, a net like the nets described in Urizen and their hearth magic and their ways. Maybe that was the key to bringing Serenus back. Maybe they weren't dead, but Serenus was dead. It was a hard pill to swallow. Everybody was in shock. Nobody knew what to do now that the Astral Arcanist is dead, is gone. The next day, it was revealed that Serenus actually had penned a letter in case of them dying. They knew that they were going to come across something that was more difficult than they had ever faced before, and they were prepared for it. And so all the nodes and those closest to Serenus arrived together in the morning. The node for the Imperial Orcs, Karak, she read out the letter detailing how proud Serenus was of everybody, how the work must continue, that we had to finish what they started. And one of the other things that they stipulated in case of them dying was that all of the nodes had to have something done to them, which I won't reveal. I will let that one be an in-character moment for those who meet any of the nodes. One thing became clear, and that is we had to fix the Regio. We had to finish what Serenus started. We had to find the name of the 19th constellation. So over the spring, coming into the summer solstice, all of the nodes and almost every astronomancer across the Empire, it felt like, had been tasked with figuring out what to do. Some of us created arcane projections. Some of us petitioned people to help. We knew that there would have to be a ritual to bind the 19th constellation to the Regio in order to fix it, and that would require autumn mages. We had people looking for autumn covens, we had people petitioning winter covens, summer, night, day. Every school of magic was thought about in how we can figure out the name of the 19th. And a season later, all the nodes and the astronomancers came together with so many options. It was a wonderful moment to see everybody collaborated together to have so many wonderful ideas and rituals that they could cast. So that evening, we decided that we were going to cast as many of them as possible. Celine had a ritual prepared, as did her friends over in Susavari, and we were ready to cast them at night because they were night rituals. But before we could get to the ritual casting, it had been organised to cast Whispers Through the Black Gate in order to speak to Serenus, so we could all see them for one last time and say our goodbyes. It's probably one of the most harrowing things that Celine has witnessed. Serenus came through the Black Gate screaming, caked in blood and flesh burnt from their skin, pain that was unbearable, a box they were carrying of their own ashes, their life partner, their soulmate, their love, who they married, not all that long ago, was in the circle with them when they arrived. And Serenus was adamant. You have to finish this. Do not let my sacrifice be in vain. Do not summon me here and tell me you have not done the thing that I sought out to do, like the finale of my life's work. Everybody was stunned at the amount of despair and pain Serenus was in as they navigated through the labyrinth. And we promised we would finish what we started, and we were going to finish it tonight. Didn't matter how. Didn't matter if people didn't like what we were doing. If people stopped trusting astronomancy, the astronomancers would fix the Regio, and we would not be stopped. There were 2 night rituals and a day ritual that we were fairly certain would give us the name of the 19th ritual. And lo and behold, the Susavari crossed that threshold and found the name of the 19th, known as the Beacon. The other rituals were cast just in case there were any differences, just in case we'd missed a thread of something, and we didn't want to get this wrong. We couldn't afford to get this wrong. Celine cast her ritual, the Day Coven cast their ritual, everything came back to the Beacon. And now with that knowledge, the Coven of Autumn Mages cast that one final ritual to bind all of the constellations, ending with the Beacon to the Regio, finally making it visible in the night sky across the mortal realms. Everybody from the Empire and beyond could now see the constellation of the Beacon, and finally the Beacon shone brightly, a reminder that things can always get better. There was much celebration after that. People celebrated their accomplishments, their ambition, their courage, their wisdom, their pride, any other virtues they felt was worthy of celebrating. They celebrated the life of Serena's Starsong as well, what risks they had taken to get astronomancy to where it is, to find what we think is the final constellation. And then the stars were able to retreat back up into the sky and finally rest for a moment. The turmoil and the storm of tulpas and strange magic to do with the stars finally settling for a moment. And so by the end of summer, there was an air of peace, the non-heretical kind, that crossed over the Empire, and the astronomancers could finally take a breath and maybe take a little break. So that was the story of how the astronomancers of the Empire broke accidentally, but also fixed the Regio and found the final constellation, the Beacon. Oh my goodness, that was the big story. I do have a couple of other things to mention about the game that I wanted to highlight because there are no nots for the game this episode, only good things. And a couple of the other things that I'd like to mention about the game was the Mystic Fate. Celine, or myself, tried their best to organise a Mystic Fate for the first time in Wintermark. There are definitely some kinks that need ironing out. I organised it quite late in the day. There wasn't a lot of light around. It was a little bit awkward to find people. Like I didn't think well enough in advance about the logistics of how people could turn up to the fete and find people. It was a little last minute from me, I won't lie. So there were some growing pains, but I think at large, the people who did interact with it did enjoy it. There were a couple of things I was disappointed in myself for, really, like oversights that I had, and I felt really bad when I'd heard that some people didn't have anybody turn up to come get their skein read. That was pretty devastating. I really, really hoped that more people would have found the different mystics around Wintermark to experience mysticism, because it's really fun, and if you've never been to Wintermark before and you want to get your skein read, I highly recommend it. There are so many different mystics that do so many different readings, and they're a great way of giving yourself new goals and some great roleplay experiences too. So highly recommend it if you've not done it before. And hopefully next year I'll be able to organise a better Mystic Fate that will work a little bit better and that people can have a better time for, you know. Also did a fair few sung rituals, which I love. I always love a sung ritual because the theatrics of it are great. You get in the ritual circle and my coven and I will do like blah blah blah, blah, you know, oh sung, we have a question, blah blah blah. And the person who plays sung, whose name is Autumn, I believe, does a cracking job where you hear Sung's voice over the speakers, and she's always like a little bit sassy, and she told us off this time. We were like, oh no. So it's a really cool moment doing the Sung ritual when we get to speak to Sung and ask her a question, because you kind of get wrapped up in that moment where you can actually hear her speak to you. So yeah, we always love a good Sung ritual. Also wanted to shout out another winter marker called Mjol. Created the ritual to kind of find more information out about the territory of Circu. I will not disclose what happened in the ritual, but I will say it was a banging ritual. I wasn't in it, but I watched it, and it was really fun to witness, and the information that came out of that was so interesting, and I'm so happy that there was another sort of star-related ritual coming out of Wintermark. So I am well up for more Northern Light shenanigans, as risky as they are. Also, I know I mentioned the Zolgan Tash earlier because of the bag, but I did also want to shout out the Zolgan Tash because I had some exceptionally interesting conversations, specifically with one member. Again, I am actually going to keep that to myself as a secret, but it was a really cool moment. It's a moment that is going to be ongoing, I think, between my character Celine and that particular member of the Zolgan Tash, and I just have had such a wonderful time, like me speaking now, I've had such a wonderful time being having the opportunity to roleplay with the Zolgan Tash over in Varushka. I think they're a cracking group of players. They're all so interesting, and the roleplay experience feels so intense, and I love that. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to more of that, to see what happens coming out of that into E4. So watch this space, we'll see. Ooh. And the very last thing I want to talk about is skein readings. I've already mentioned them briefly, but I must have done more skein readings than I've ever done before at E3. E3 skein readings were so cool. I got to do so many skein readings, so if you came to see Celine for a skein reading, then I appreciate it so much. It gives me a lot of joy to do them. I feel like I don't have enough time in the day to do everybody's. During the Mystic Fate, I ended up having to turn a few people away because I was too busy and I couldn't finish it in time. But yeah, I do want to put in more office hours for Celine to read skeins. Unfortunately, at E3 on the Saturday night, I didn't make my advertised slot to read skeins. So if you're somebody that arrived at Dragon's Watch E3 at 11 p.m. on the Saturday and Celine wasn't there, I really do apologise. That is when some of the other star stuff was kicking off, and by the time I got back to camp, it was just completely empty. So I think everybody who did turn up, unfortunately, I did miss them. So I'm really, really sorry. I'm going to do an earlier time for skein readings because I'm realising that my evenings are turning very, very busy. As a night mage, apparently all the stuff that you need to do is at night. Go figure. Oh, that is a lot. I don't know how much editing I'm going to do on this because currently I've been recording for about an hour now, but I will stop here. That was all of my hots and nots for events 2 and 3 of Empire in 2026. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate the people that watch a lot of my stuff to do with Empire. I know it's a niche, but I really appreciate people just, popping me on the background or commenting and having these conversations with me, because I think it's a cracking community. I really enjoy playing Empire, and yeah, I hope to do more stuff in the future and just, create fun for people. So yeah, thank you very, very much to everybody who watches or who says hi on the field. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video, which won't be an Empire related video. I say that now. I have plans for a non-Empire related video next, but E4 is around the corner. It's next month, so if I don't see you in the next video, I'll see you in Anvil. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye!